Good afternoon, everyone. So, in this live stream, I'll be using this specifically to communicate better. If you don't know, I can write pretty well. Well, I can write average, but I still struggle with my speaking, and I feel like I have to practice with that. So, I'm gonna be practicing. So I hope you're all having a fantastic Tuesday. It's a pretty cloudy day today. I do not like the fact that it's very cloudy. It is still spring, so one more month and no, is it already summer? I don't even know. I don't even know. That's how crazy it is. That's just how crazy it is. Um, so I should pay more attention to the seasons of the year. I know summer starts around December, or was it supposed to start this month? I don't know. So anyways, welcome. In this video, in this live stream, I'll be talking about multiple topics, and I'll also be using those topics as a way to expand my voice, because I feel like sometimes I swallow my words, I sometimes don't really pronounce stuff properly, or sometimes I just don't mention things clearly. So I'll try my best. So let's just see what goes on. Alright then. So let's just check up the news because I want to talk about some topic. That way I can actually speak better. I need topics to speak of. Okay. So here we go with the recent article. Activision announces new code of conduct in an effort to combat toxicity across various titles in the Call of Duty series. Now here's the thing, I don't play Call of Duty, I don't play a lot of these games, and Activision, well, let's just say that Activision Blizzard has become such a problem in the industry. And they made themselves a bad name, and they have a bad reputation. So, video games, most of them are going to be online. And when you're playing online, you have voice chats, text chats. You can basically communicate with other folk. That sounds fun, but at the same time, there's also going to be some messed up people saying some disturbing things. And there's always features to block someone, to mute your own voice chat. There's multiple features. So, yeah. But it seems to be that those features are not enough. So, for some reason, they have to go more deeper. Let's just see what they're going to do. Activision has committed to delivering a positive gameplay experience. We know addressing toxicity requires 24/7 sustained effort. That's the problem with trying to judge all of the communications. It'll require so much people. It will just be basically spying, if you think of it. Our enforcement and anti-toxicity teams have continued to progress, in, including scrubbing our global player database to remove toxic users. They revealed that 500,000 accounts have been banned. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of folk. Okay. And this is the problem with most video games. They don't really care about fun, they don't care about people wanting to have fun. I know that there's some messed up people who will say some messed up things, but not everyone is trying to be offensive. Sometimes people get very hyped up with a video game and say things they're not meant to say. That's basically it. I'm stuck. What's going on? Okay. Never mind, never mind. So basically, they think this is stunning and brave. No, it's not. We do not tolerate bullying or harassment, including derogatory comments based on race, gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, age, culture, faith, mental or physical abilities, or country of origin. All members of our community should be treated with dignity and respect, unless they're conservative. Because let's face it, these companies do not want anyone who's slight to the right. I'm not even joking. There's recently been complaints of the game having too many pride flags. I know, you may be thinking, what does that have to do with anything? But where are the pride flags for other types of communities? I've also heard there was a BLM flag. I don't know if that's true or not, but if there is, you have to provide the alternative. You have to provide other race types as well. So, yeah, that's the problem. It's either one or everyone, you know? No, it's either all of it or none of it. That's how it's supposed to be, you know? That's how it's supposed to be. But they're so focused on trying to make it inclusive that the game suffers a lot. A lot of people like it, but still, you can tell that a lot of people are obviously talking against it. And that's another problem. Do not jump to the conclusion and just purchase the game. I know we all do that when a brand new game is announced. We all want to be the early ones, but sometimes we gotta wait. Sometimes we gotta wait and see the waters. You know, we gotta test the waters out. IGN staffer who praised Last of Us 2 as a masterpiece hired by Naughty Dog gets social media backlash. This is not surprising because if you don't know, The Last of Us 2 was this controversial game because they destroyed a fan favorite character and they were trying to be very woke about it. And a lot of people were not happy with that. And guess what? They were taking down channels. You know, Geeks and Gamers, they wrongfully flagged them. You know, I remember watching this live stream, and just towards the end, before Jeremy signed out, it just cut. The live stream just cut, and I wondered what happened. And it then said that this video was flagged or something. And it's insane because they falsely flagged people. They falsely flagged people. Now, the journalist who basically praised it got a job. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise, right? The person who praised something gets a job, you know? First day on the new job, and I'm absolutely thrilled to announce I've joined the Naughty Dog team as an editorial content manager. Man, IGN must be sucking to lay off this guy. Or maybe he quit on himself. This game was not a 10 out of 10. By any means, it's a 1 out of 10 or a negative 10. Years after the fact, and Gamergate is still proven right. Most of these game reviewers don't like video games. They do not like it. Not all of them, but most of them. Especially on the West. They rancor video games. It's so, it's just weird how untrustworthy all journalism has become, and it happened so quickly. 10, 20 years ago, I used to buy gaming magazines just for the reviews before spending hard-earned cash on the new game. Most of these game reviewers are bought. I'm not even joking. Like, you can pay them a lump sum, and a lump. I don't know how you say it, but you can give them an amount, and they'll just give you a positive review. Sounds fun, right? It sounds fun on pen and paper, but let's face the fact that these game journalists supposed to be playing the game, supposed to be having fun, and supposed to be giving their honest reviews. Another BLM, TLM, he, him, joined the Naughty Dog alphabet team. That's kind of funny. Let's just see what the folk are saying. Why would anyone be surprised by this in 2022? Exactly. Don't be surprised by craziness, you know? Now this is the meat of the argument. Final Fantasy XVI producer on the game's alleged lack of ethnic diversity. We simply want to focus to be less on the outward appearance of our characters. Basically, the producer was interviewed by IGN and they asked a stupid question about diversity. And basically, the producer said, you know, it was trying to get out of the conversation. It was trying to get his way out of the conversation. He said a long sentence, and obviously this caused a lot of backlash because there's no browns and whatever in this specifically in this Final Fantasy 16, and that is offensive for millions of people who will barely play the game. So yeah, okay. I'm kind of glad Elon got Twitter because then the outrage would have been 10 times more. So I'm not gonna get this game, you may be wondering why. Not because of this diversity thing, it's because Square Enix, the company behind Final Fantasy, is a woke company. They're focusing so much on trying to lecture the audience rather than make good content. Plus they're also focusing on NFT content. I don't understand how do you do that, but they're doing that. And that's just very vexing. Honestly, that's just so freaking vexing. Oh my goody two shoes. Oh my goody two shoes. What the heck is going on? So, will this let me purchase Final Fantasy 16? No. This controversy, as much as I would like to support the producer, I still think that there's not much hope for Square Enix. It's so obnoxious. You aren't allowed to make a story about Europeans and base them off Europeans. You aren't allowed to do that. When it comes to Asian stories, you can actually represent them 100% and there'll be no backlash. Represent Africans 100%, no backlash. Represent Europeans 100% and then there's major backlash. With people trying to bring all these type of string type arguments, you know, you can easily cut them apart. And I know for a fact that there's going to be some bending the knee. I bet you $5 one of these folk from Square Enix is going to apologize. They're going to take some time to change some characters. I bet you that's going to happen. And it's just going to be so laughable because these people are so prone to bending the knee. If they don't bend the knee, then I'll be freaking surprised. But I'm telling you right now, they're going to bend the knee and say, okay, this is this this is an apology. We hope to do better. XYZ. That's what they're gonna do. Don't expect some lovely stuff. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know, it's gonna be woke. They're gonna have a woke response. Okay. I imagine there'll be quite a few ads exploding in game journalism. Yeah, journalists are angry. 16. Let's look at this. Let's search some Final Fantasy 16 stuff. Let's search about the news, because I'm telling you, you will see a lot of people complaining about that. Out of all the things, they'll be complaining about that. It's not going to be complaining about the fact that the game won't really be like the old school Final Fantasy games, you know. So they'll be complaining about the diversity. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I saw a plethora. I saw a plethora of articles just a couple days ago. I'm not getting anything. That's what happens when you use Brave. That's what happens when you use Brave. You don't get the best results. Why does my voice sound so terrible? Now, let's just read some stuff. Let's just read what people are saying about this. Because this is going to be pretty interesting. It's a shame that they even have to go out of their way to explain this. You shouldn't have to change your artistic vision to appease Twitter blue hairs. So I don't know what's to come, but I do have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be more angry. Square Enix is gonna come out and apologize. I'm telling you right now. Oh, this post was removed. Let me read the comments. Let me read the comments. Okay. Now, people always like to say that it's fantasy. Anything can happen in fantasy. And that's true, but it depends on the author's vision, you know? There are plenty of authors out there. Take Tolkien. Most of his characters, most of the story that takes place, it happens in... Well, okay, I haven't finished reading all of the books, but there's a lot of white characters. He was a fantasy author, okay? He wrote fantasy. He wrote it how he wanted it, you know? He did not need a checkbox. He wrote it how he wanted it to be. And he made rules. So that's the thing. When it comes to fantasy, there's still rules, and people need to accept that, you know? So if someone makes a fantasy about all black, there's rules and things in place for that to be that way, you know? So why is it always when it comes to the opposite, people want everything to be colorful, you know? When you watch Chinese movies, most of the time, 90% of the time, it's just going to be Chinese only in the movies, you know? That's what I'm trying to say. You know, fantasy does not equal everything can be accepted, you know? If someone wants what they want, that's what they're gonna write. You know, when I write stuff, I try to make sure certain things do not appear, you know, just because some fantasy stories out there have something doesn't mean my stories need to have that too. Everyone is their own author of their fantasy, and there's no need for people to change everything for the sake of it. And here's the funny thing, Final Fantasy 16 is made in Japan. It's made in Japan. Okay? Japanese folk made a game about medieval Europe. Can we get that out of the way? That's the most diverse thing that you've ever heard of in 2022. Okay? So, and even the producer had mentioned that they're also trying to have diversity of thought. So the characters are going to be pretty diverse with what they say, what they think of. So you're not just going to be relating to them with skin, you're going to be relating with them to them with thought. So if you think alike with one character, that's great. Doesn't matter their skin, you know. Okay, you know, as a black guy, I'm not offended. I'm still going to buy the game. I'm tired of people getting offended to me and trying to pressure creators into altering their creative visions to match Western socio-political climates. There we go. There we go. An interesting conversation. I think we should be celebrating Japanese developers using other cultural influences in their games at all. If you're literally asking for tokenism and forced inclusion at this point, you can imagine if someone said the reverse about a majority black cast in a show. Like, that's the thing as well. That's the thing, you know? If anyone complains about something else, the opposite, they immediately shut down. But this, it's okay. For some reason, this is okay. So, that's what I'm trying to say. It's that they can make whatever they want to make. I'm still not going to purchase the game. You know, I like a lot of medieval stuff, but I'm not going to purchase it because Square Enix is going down, down, down. I'm not going to give them a penny, you know? They're not going to make the game turn-based, you know? They're straying from that. They're trying to be all about NFTs, you know? I don't understand how NFTs are becoming such a popular thing. I'm still trying to figure out what purpose it has besides being so pointless, you know? Like, let's face the fact that NFT gaming is something that's going to stay, and Square Enix have invested a lot in that. That's another reason why I'm not going to be supporting Square Enix, you know? It's like they just want to walk backwards, always. You may see them take one step forward, and then 100 steps back. So I don't really care what they do now, because I know for a fact they're gonna come out and apologize. Come now, this is modern stuff. That's what happens every time. That's what happens every time a controversy breaks out with a game or some form of media. People come out of the woodworks and apologize. So I'm very glad I'm not going to be wasting a lot of money on that. Plus, for the first 6 months, it's going to be PS5 exclusive. How does that make it any sense? Honestly, PlayStation has so little games at this point. You know, they have to strangle video game companies waiting for them to make them exclusives. If Xbox did the same thing, PlayStation fans would get angry, you know? Like, this is not even a joke. Like, check out YouTube. You'll see a bunch of people, not everyone obviously, but many of them, Sony ponies as they call them. You'll see a bunch of them get angry when a game is on Xbox. It's like, you guys have so much of exclusives. What's wrong with Xbox having one, you know? Obviously, I think Xbox needs more exclusives because the way they were treated previously, they deserve better, honestly. Plus, the Xbox Series S is freaking more cheaper than the discless PS5. So honestly, it's a win, and I feel like game developers need to focus more on Xbox. Anyways, because they're gonna get a lot more sales. I know PlayStation gets a lot more because of their big name, but let's face the fact that Xbox can actually reach a wider audience because it's pretty cheap. Alright then, so I've been trying to speak properly for a while. I hope I'm doing better. So, anyways, as I said, I'm not gonna be purchasing the next Final Fantasy 16. I'm not gonna be doing that. I find it a bit silly to waste my time on that. I'd rather save that money and do something else out of it. But speaking of turn-based games, uh, turn-based RPGs, speaking of those type of things, I think it's pretty cool to invest in those type of game designs because one, it'll be a bit more fun to edit compared to fast-paced action video games, and obviously a lot of people will like that. There's a huge community in the world that actually likes those type of games. Some people think it's too slow, but some people think it's just right. Obviously, I have mentioned in the past I have an idea for a turn-based game, but of course I have more. The only problem is I have to get it done, which I think will be very fun. You know. uh, okay. All right then. I feel like I've been speaking a bit better, but let's just see how things go. Oh, what's this? What is going on over here? Oh my goodness. I found it odd that Skill Up makes no mention that he is friends with God of War writer Alana Paris in his interview. Then it hit me. Was she really hired over connections, or was it a massive influence on YouTube creators and gaming sites? Let's dive deeper. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. Was this the same girl that rated a video game for having too much water? She criticized the game for having too much water. I think that's the same girl. I think that's the same girl. If I can remember correctly, last year she was on Washington Post Gaming writing about a pro-life game developer, crying about the pro-life game developer. So just remember that all these people, all these woke people, they don't care about you nor the future. They're just crazy people, honestly. Okay, I want to read this. I want to read this. That's very strange. A lot of people have voices, inside voices. A lot of people can easily persuade people to do things that they don't realize they're doing, you know? This is why it's best not to be friends with a lot of the journalists, you know? Because then it'll just influence you a lot. I did not click this. I did not click this. My browser is so slow now. What the heck? It's just very vexing, you know? Even Skill Up, the game reviewer, is a SJW. He is an SJW. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. So woke people flock together, you know? This is interesting. This is very interesting. I can't wait. I can't wait to what I can't wait just to make my own video games and just you know, entertain people. My job is not to become a major company that will just destroy gaming. No. Most of these games just are made for people on Twitter.